Hey, we're back. Beacon Better Body Mechanics. Today we're improving overhead mechanics. We're gonna employ some tools to improve our mechanical advantage in the push press, push jerk, pull-ups, any type of pulling motion that's gonna be employed for. Benching this helps with. So our first test is we're going to be on the ground, and we're just going to try to pin our low back to the ground, legs outstretched, rib cage is down, and see how far our arms can go back before we meet resistance at the shoulder joint. So I'm about here. I can't quite get my hands to the ground without breaking that rib cage and getting a little space between my back and the ground. So we'll do one side and then we'll retest that and see how we feel. So we're going to start with a T-spine twist. You can do this against a wall to help. So you can come out in kind of a wall sit against the wall and do it this way, or you can just take a deep squat, grab the feet, grab opposite ankle or foot, and twist. So we're going to get 10 twists per side. Trying to get some T-spine, some thoracic spine, middle spine mobility going here, a little bit of lubrication. And then upper spine. So get some blood flow in there. And we'll go for the foam roller. So we're going to spend like 3.5 minutes here, just foam rolling everything around the rib cage, all of your, on both sides, bias your right and your left side. I like to start at the bottom of that rib cage on one side. Take a note at a time. And I'll spend maybe 45 seconds inching my way up on each side until I find a spot that needs some loving. And I'll just kind of move around on that spot. Once you make your way up to your shoulder blade, I want you to find your way over to that armpit or the back of the armpit. And you're going to rotate there. So you're going to get 90 degrees at the elbow. Woo! And you're just going to rotate that arm back and forth. Find a spot that's really knotty. Right there is pretty good. And just move about. Then get a straight arm position. And work your way into that armpit a little bit. And then switch sides. Get those rotations. Find that spot on the back of that armpit. Woo. Trying to get into that rotator cuff to free up that shoulder blade, your scapulae, so that they can articulate against your rib cage when you're up in that overhead position. They're not locked down, they've got some freedom to move and be able to get in a good position to anchor any weight and be a good solid base for what type of implement you're going to put up over your head. Straighten that arm out, find that armpit, and just get into that armpit a little bit. Get into the middle, big hug, self-hug, and just go up and down, a few rolls until you get a couple cracks and pops, like Rice Krispies. Then you're going to get yourself a kettlebell or a barbell. Get it up behind you. You're going to find somewhere in mid-thoracic spine. And then you're going to reach up in a bridge. Anchor down your rib cage. Grab onto that implement with straight arms behind you. And then slowly lower your butt, keeping that rib cage anchored. So don't break and throw your rib cage up. Try to anchor everything down so you get a nice stretch through here on both sides. As you lower, you can take a deep breath and breathe out. You can try to reposition to a new spot on the T-spine, maybe an inch or two up at a time. Spend a little time here, lowering the butt. Trying to break up some of that tissue, reflatten it in that T-spine. Whew. I would stay there for probably another 20 seconds, but this is a rumble roller. It's got spikes on it, and it hurts, so I'm not going to do that. And what we're trying to do is, if you can imagine a whole chunk of colored pencils in a rubber band, right? They make a shape like this. That's what happens to a lot of our muscles in the back that surround our scapula, that when they're pinned to the rib cage. And when you try to move about those ropey muscles, you don't have a lot of space. So what we're doing is we're trying to make those colored pencils flatten out so that they can articulate against our rib cage and our scapula a lot easier. So we're trying to take a ropey looking muscle and flatten it out to what it's supposed to look like. So we've got the T-spine worked out. We're going to retest. Lie back down. Get your whole back nice and flat. Don't allow any space between your low back and the ground. Legs outstretched. Rib cage is tied down. See how much lower you can get those arms. I'm still not quite to the ground, but I can touch it with my fingertips. So I've gotten a decent amount of new range there. That's good news. We'll keep working at it. While you get your band, you've got an anchor down knee height about. Sometimes we do this probably from overhead as well. I like it from down here because it adds a gravitational component to it and the depression piece. So we're going to wind up into a overhead kind of front rack prep situation. And what happens is when we're in that position, we're kind of here, we're elevated shoulders. And the band being low, what it's going to do is depress that shoulder back down, which is where you're going to be if you have a barbell loaded here. You're not going to be shrugged up, you're going to be down. So that's what this is going to help out with. I'm going to start with my left hand, put on the bracelet, lock it off, and I'm going to twist and wind it up so that it's pulling down and back. I'm going to reach over my head and make sure I'm anchored so that my elbow doesn't flare up and go crazy. All right, so I've got this. When I've got that, I pin my rib cage down. I don't let it flare open. And then I slowly turn towards that arm so I add a rotational component to it. So it's pulling my arm rotationally into external rotation. So we've got a number of things happening here. We're getting into a externally rotated position, which is what we need for front rack and for good pushing mechanics overhead. And then we're also, you can add kind of a push with this free hand down on the elbow to aid in that depression. And we're going to hang out for about 1.5 minutes longer. And you'll notice about 1 minute in, if you maintain your position, glutes on, abs on, all of a sudden you'll get that shoulder will start to drop and depress and get into a much more advantageous position to be in a good position as a foundation for overhead pressing or overhead loading. So I'm at minute 1 and I can comfortably let my shoulder kind of depress and hang out. So deep breaths really help here to let that shoulder into the position it wants to be in. We're here for about 30 more seconds. Yeah, now I can really feel it. I'm getting super comfortable in that position. "15 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Come out of that slowly, unwind it. Let's do a quick retest there. What you should notice is that right arm is going to be super easy to get nice up overhead. Back's nice and flat, legs out. Float those arms back. And I'm much closer with my right than I am my left. You can probably see that. This arm, I can get much closer to my ear than my left arm. It's pretty clear. So I'll do the same thing on the left arm. We'll bracelet it up, lock it up, close it out, wind it up, and we'll go for 2 minutes. Rib cage down, blocking that elbow overhead, rotating towards the arm that's wound up. And then just focusing on letting the shoulder depress down and relax into that position. Glutes are on, abs are on. Some good deep breaths. I'm still kind of stretch reflexes on. My shoulder's having trouble depressing. I'm going to try to actively think about it. There we go. It's been about a minute, so it's easier. That stretch reflex may have turned off a little bit. And I'm sinking into depression in my right shoulder. Getting that shoulder down. There we go. Now I'm feeling it. Now I'll spend about 45 more seconds taking advantage of this newly found range of motion, this new position. Yeah, that feels a lot better. Ooh, there we go. I'm getting even more out of it. Looks like I had a lot of position I needed to find in this right arm. It's probably because I did a lot of overhead work yesterday, so I'm really benefiting from this today. 10 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Come out of it and unwind this. Okay. Now we're going to get our first rib to kind of get out of the way. When we get up overhead, our first rib is just underneath our clavicle here. And it tends to stay raised up because of our scalenes and a number of other muscles that pull on it. So what we're going to do is take a tennis ball, and if you can tell, I've got a crisscross cut in this tennis ball. I'm going to get this tennis ball on my first rib, which is kind of, there's an open space between my trap and my clavicle in a triangle position. I'm going to get this tennis ball right in there and just push on my first rib and depress that first rib down so it's out of the way and I can get over in a much better overhead position. The way I do that is I'm taking a broom handle and I'm going to affix this tennis ball to the end of the broom handle. All right? And I'm going to find a wall. So I'm going to jam this thing into the wall. And I'm going to get down, find that spot, that first rib, and then I'm going to work my arm back and let that tennis ball on the end of the broom handle depress that first rib. You may need to add a little bridge to it in order to push it in. And just spend some time, maybe like 10 to 20 overhead reaches. And just work that first rib down and out of the way. Try to get a thumbs up position. Just work that thumb toward the ground. So that thumb being towards the ground assures that you're in an externally rotated position. Deep breath in and then breathe out while you're thumbing down. You can anchor this broom handle with your opposite free hand. And then switch it up. I'll find that first rib on my left side. Bridge up. Oh yeah, there it is. That's probably good enough for me. What that should afford me is a much better overhead position with that first rib out of the way. So those are your three kind of items you want to work on. If you want to do some extra credit, some bonus, a really good strengthening or warm-up exercise for overhead pressing or overhead loading is a half kneeling Arnold press. So you find this half kneeling, I got 90 degrees at this knee, 90 degrees at that knee. I've got some dumbbells. I have them touching in front, and then I press up overhead and touch them at the top. Doing this at a tempo of maybe 1, 2, 1, 2. Maybe you get 5 reps. Switch knees. And do another 5. You do 3 sets at that 2-2 tempo. And that's going to really open up your whole core because you're split, and it's going to get your shoulders on. Another one is kettlebell distraction. So, what we want to do for this one is anchor really low to the ground and find a kettlebell. Kettlebell is key in this. I'm going to load up my shoulder. I'm going to go left first. I'm going to get it all the way up, right in front of right at the base of my humerus. I'm going to get it laterally tensioned. And I pull my kettlebell. I have to lose my watch so I don't break it. So I've got some tension into my humerus going away from me laterally. Then I'm going to load up my arm with the kettlebell, like so. So I've got banded tension going laterally. I've got gravity pushing down on my humerus. And I'm going to block my elbow. And then rotate that kettlebell so I'm in an externally rotated position. And I'm just going to spend as long as I can possibly spend here, letting the kettlebell push my humeral head to the back of the socket, and the band pull my humeral head laterally out to situate it better in the socket for better articulation. A lighter kettlebell is better here, so you can spend some time under tension. You can kind of twist, come back, twist, come back, and just spend some time under tension. That's a real bonus. It's a very awkward position to be in. But what that does is it allows my shoulders to be in a much better position. That's a really good one for pressing. You get a much better foundation for pressing. And that's your overhead mechanical improvement session right there. Thanks for joining. See you in the future.